So you have a dog that you're trying to train because you want them to listen better to you. You can tell they're intelligent. They pick up new things relatively quick. You taught them to sit and lay down relatively easily. They walk pretty good on a leash. They'll even come to you when you call them most of the time. But as soon as you go outside and they see another person on a walk, or they see another dog barking at them from somebody else's yard, or a squirrel runs across the street, and then everything goes out the window. There's a reason for that. It's one of the most common things that I hear, and I'm going to teach you how to fix it. I'm Jeff with Paradigm Canine. I've trained over 1,000 dogs, and in that time, I've learned a lot of really valuable lessons. This is one of the biggest ones that I've learned that I'm going to teach you here today. In this video here today, I'm going to teach you my entire process for how to teach a command, how I'm able to get reflexive performance out of the dogs, and why that matters when you get to where you need them to perform, even when there's harder situations or bigger distractions going on in the background. Before we get into that, the first thing that we need to talk about are the 4 stages of learning and understanding and how that directly correlates to the dog's ability to perform, especially when it's hard. Those 4 stages are the following. First, we have unconscious incompetence. Then we have conscious incompetence. Then we have conscious competence. Then we have, finally, the stage we want to get to, unconscious competence, and I'm going to explain what all those mean now. So first we have unconscious incompetence, meaning I don't know what I don't know. So let's relate that to dogs. So if your dog has never been taught how to sit, for example, then they're unaware of even what it is, and they're not able to do it. So if I say sit, they're just going to look at me like I'm an alien. It means nothing to them. That's where we all start on any learning journey with something that we haven't done before. Next, we have conscious incompetence, meaning I've showed the dog what sit is, but they're not really able to do it on their own. This is where a lot of people stay for the bulk of their training with the dog, meaning you have to help the dog do it. So I say sit or I say down, and I have to either lure them, guide them, remind them a bunch, show them what to do in order to get them to do it. So they know what it is, but they're not able to do it on their own. The next step in this kind of learning evolution is conscious competence, meaning I'm aware of what it is, I know what it is, and I know how to do it, but it takes some effort. I have to think, I have to process in order to do it. This is where it starts to look like the dog is really trained. Like if I say sit, I don't have to lure them up with the leash or with my hand. I don't have to remind them and show them what to do. I say sit. They might process for a little bit. They might look around for something else to do, but they will do it on their own. That, while that's good and that's where we want to get to, ultimately we have to move beyond that stage to where they don't have to think about it anymore. So that's where we finally get to unconscious competence, meaning I know what it is, I know how to do it, and I can do it in my sleep. It's so easy. I'm so well practiced and well rehearsed at doing this behavior that I can just do it. So think about like brushing your teeth, something that you've rehearsed over and over and over, I hope. If not, go brush your teeth, you're dirty. But for the vast majority of people, you do this from the time you're a young child all the way up until now. You've done it countless times, right? So you could sit there scrolling on your phone and just brushing your teeth, and like you don't even pay attention to what you're doing. You just do it, right? Now, if you want to experience what conscious competence feels like, a step backwards from here, tonight, go brush your teeth with the opposite hand that you usually use. And you will find that you have to consciously sit there and think about what you're doing because your hand-eye coordination and muscle memory and stuff is not there. You know how to do it, but it takes a little bit of effort to do it. Versus unconscious competence, where I don't have to think about it. So let's use the example of driving is a good one. So let's say you got a new job across town. You've never been there before, but it's a really good job and you want to keep it, so you want to impress everybody. You don't want to be late, so you get up early, you get dressed and everything, and you plan your route, you put it in your GPS, and the whole way there you're looking at street signs, making sure you're going the right way. You keep checking your phone, you pull into the parking lot, you're looking around for, okay, where do I park, and all this stuff. Now you work that same job for a year, and then one day you realize like you can just hop up in the morning late, throw on some clothes, grab something to eat on the way out, listen to Joe Rogan on the way to work, and totally veg out. And then you pull into the parking lot and you stop and you think to yourself, wait, was that light red when I went through it back there? Like, you can do it so well that you almost don't even remember the task of doing that. So if your dog has the ability to perform their obedience that well without thinking about it, they're that well rehearsed, the likelihood of them being able to perform effectively under hard distraction is exponentially higher. Now, most people don't finish teaching the dog how to perform the command. So that's what we're going to get into today. That was weird. Okay. That was really where my power went out. I'm leaving that in the video. I'm not even going to bother trying to go back and remember what I was talking about. So once your dog has the ability to perform this stuff at that deep level without thinking about it, life gets a lot easier. So let's get into how exactly I teach a dog to understand these commands at this deep level. When we're first starting fresh with a dog that doesn't know any commands, whether it's sit, down, whatever new thing that we're working on, it's almost universal how I do it. The first thing that we want to have in place is we want a way to get the dog or guide the dog into whatever command that is. So for down, for example, I'm going to first make sure the dog's motivated, tune into me, all these prerequisites that we have with every dog that we train. But once we're there, then we're going to use that and the ability to follow the food lure. We're going to use that to guide the dog into a down. Notice I'm not using a command here. I just want to make sure that the dog understands fluidly when I'm guiding you in this fashion with the food, this is how you get the food. So when I guide you down, you go into the down, you get in the position I want, then I'm going to say yes, bark, and reward. How many times you have to repeat this process is highly dependent on the dog, but it's easily double digits, usually well over 100 reps before it starts feeling fluid. And it does need to feel fluid. There shouldn't be a whole lot of processing going on for the dog. Otherwise, you're still in the conscious competence phase of this part of the command. If I'm guiding the dog down, I want them to think, I know exactly what we're doing. I pop into this down, and then I get the food. When that is this fluid, then we're ready for the next step. The next step is what we call fading the lure or fading the help. We need to wean the dog off of their reliance on me guiding them into the down. This is where a lot of people stop when they teach a command. And they never wean off of the physical prompt or the hand gestures. And dogs are such visual learners. They will absolutely just key in on whatever physical prompt that you're using. They'll shut their brain off and be like, that's all the information I need. Right now, they're just pointing to the ground, and then I lay down and get food. The problem is that is going to fall apart as soon as they're not sitting directly in front of you, tuned in, paying attention. I need the dog to hear the word down if they're looking away from me. So when I say down, I need them to pick that out from all the background noise that's going on out in the regular world. Or, if they have tunnel vision because they're looking at another dog across the street that's walking towards us and barking at us or something. If I say down, I need the dog to hear that and know without thinking about it what they're supposed to do and how to do it. So you have to wean off of that help. And the way to do that, it's a relatively simple process, but you have to take baby steps. The smaller the baby steps you take here, the more clean this ends up. So don't try to make big jumps here. Just little bits of weaning off. So initially that might start by me giving the down command and then immediately luring the dog all the way into the down. And I'm going to repeat that until that becomes like a new pattern that the dog is expecting. Once that feels really fluid and proficient, and I'm like, okay, me and this dog are on the same page, then I'm going to gradually back off how much of that help I'm giving. So I will say down, and then I will lure the dog most of the way down, but not all the way. I want to stop just shy of how much help they actually need. So I need to establish a baseline. How much help do I need to give the dog to get them to finish the command on their own? And I do want them to finish the command on their own. If they don't, they will become so reliant on the help that like you can't get away from it. Because it's easier for them. It requires less brain power, less thinking for them to just wait for you to help show them exactly what they're supposed to do instead of problem solving and using their head to think like, okay, he said down, what does that mean? How do I do it? And then I do it, and then I get the treat. So I'm going to find that baseline, and I'm going to figure out how much help I need to give the dog to get them to do it, and I'm going to try to stop just shy of that previous baseline. And as we continue in practice, that baseline is going to keep moving further and further back, where how much help I need to give the dog becomes less and less and less. The ultimate goal is to be able to stand upright like a statue in this current environment and context, and just nice and relaxed. I'm not trying to give this dog a formal presentation or lecture or anything here. I'm just hanging out with the dog, and I want to be able to like calmly but confidently just say down, and the dog just do it without me having to do anything else. Once we do that, just because I get them to do it once doesn't mean that they're done. That just means they did it correctly once. So my favorite quote, I think, is that amateurs do it until they get it right. Professionals do it until they can't get it wrong. Think like a pro here. Raise your expectations of your dog and expect pro-level performance. We are going to rehearse this until that dog reaches that fourth and final stage of learning of unconscious competence, where I can do it without thinking about it. When they can do it at that level with no help, I just say down, they lay down. Now we're ready for the last stage of teaching. The next stage of teaching a command is what we call generalizing. That generalization phase of teaching is essential if you want your dog to actually be able to do this stuff in the real world. Just because a dog is doing it in your living room or in my empty training room with no competing motivators does not mean we're going to be able to step outside or take the dog out to a park or something and get the same performance. So you have to change the picture a little bit and show the dog, hey, the same thing we practiced in that previous environment that you got so good at, we're also going to do it here. You have to show the dog that they're going to be asked to do it in different environments, and then you have to teach them how to do it in those different environments. Just because they can do it in your living room does not mean they're automatically going to do it outside. So to do that, we're just going to change the environment in which we're practicing and rehearsing the behavior. Now, we don't want to jump from this low to no distraction environment right to like a really crowded public space right away. That's too big of a change in difficulty level. Your dog is not going to perform. It just won't happen. For me, what I'll do instead of practicing it in my training room, I might take them over, to my home gym area or upstairs in my kitchen, or something along those lines. It's different. It's a new environment. If they haven't been in there, they're going to be a little bit interested in it, new smells and things like that. And then I'm going to repeat the teaching process. Now, when you change the picture, the overall picture, and in general in dog training, if you change the difficulty level, which changing the environment is changing the difficulty level to an extent, if you change the difficulty level, you have to lower your expectations. We have to lower our criteria, what we expect the dog to do. I'm not going to expect the same level of performance that we just got in the other place. I'm first going to kind of speed run through the teaching process a little bit. I'll go into the new environment, and I'm going to show the dog, hey, remember the thing we did over there? We're going to do it here too. So I will give the command, but then I'm ready to go ahead and help the dog. I'm ready to give them as much help as I need to. If I don't need to, that's awesome. I get the mark and reward, and we can move on. But if I say the command and they don't do it, we're not going to like punishment or correction or anything yet. This is still the teaching phase of training. So there's very, very minimal, if any, type of correction or punishment at this stage of training. It's not non-compliance. This is just the dog. Now I'm back to conscious competence. I know what to do, but I got to think about it a little bit. So I'm going to be willing to offer some help in order to set them up for success. I'm just also going to then wean off of that help. It's the same exact process. It'll just go quicker in the next environment. So when I can wean off the help in this new environment, then we go to find another one and another one and another one. That's why it's called generalizing. We're practicing and rehearsing the same skill in a more general environment versus the specific environment that we first started in. So regardless of whether you're starting with a dog that knows nothing or you've started teaching some commands and you're struggling when you are switching that bigger picture and moving to more difficult environments, follow these steps, and I can promise you it will exponentially increase the quality of your dog's training and their ability to perform. Happy training, guys, and we will see you on the next one.